to the AAU TV Mid-Week News, and we are live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana, and my name is Lydia Nyame. With me are
Jimai Madeladen Duchi.
And my name is Ajiman Ochedako.
And now the headlines on higher education. Sub-Saharan Africa leads the world on student mobility. And again, women in science will not increase without radical action.
And in our health news, scientists probe into the effects of coffee and growth in children.
In science and technology, scientists discover self-erasing chips that could help stop counterfeit electronics. Massive, look is so amazing. And courtesy of Textiles Ghana Limited, and please do want to send your contributions via pages on Facebook and YouTube. Don't go anywhere, bring you more news after the short break.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. Charging up goes a long way. Strengthen your immune system. Your immune system needs all the help it can get. Eat well, stay hydrated. Hands pick up a lot. Avoid touching your face. Your well-being is in your hands. Sanitize regularly. Stay safe. GTP, timeless.
You're welcome back from the break. And university students in sub-Saharan Africa have become the most mobile tertiary students in the world, as about 5% of the 8.1 million tertiary students on the continent have crossed a border as compared to the global average of 2.4%, according to Campus France, a public agency that attracts and provides educational services to international students studying in France.
Africa's growing population of young people is an economic resource that could bring positive change to the continent's economic future. With proper planning and investment in its youth, African countries could experience what is known as a demographic dividend. This happens when the working population outnumbers children and the elderly. This results in economic resources being freed up as the labor force grows faster than the population that is dependent on it, which could then lead to accelerated economic growth. Africa is the world's youngest continent. While other regions are aging, Africa will still be mostly young, with approximately 65% of the population under the age of 30 in the year 2030. Central for achieving a bright future is investing in people through health, education, and jobs. Africans can also take ownership now of their demographic transition, the change from high birth and death rates to low birth and death rates, by reducing mortality, investing in education, and hastening the empowerment of women. In most African countries, a demographic transition is just beginning as more children survive their 5th birthdays and people live longer. Africa is now entering this window of opportunity. With a faster decline in family size, African countries can realize the economic benefits of the demographic dividend over the next several decades.
Now, student mobility, has undoubtedly increased in Africa. But what is the motivation for student academic mobility in Africa?
First of all, I am currently the African government putting a lot of money to fund students who are outside the country. They fund for their scholarships in other countries when they can actually use the country to develop their education. Currently, the African government uses a lot of funds in pushing their students to get scholarships from outside when they can actually use the money to develop their own country, their own educational system. But right now, I would say that it looks like the African leaders or those who invest money to their students to fly out to learn don't actually see their certificate of much quality. Because if you see your certificate as, if you think or if you see that your certificate is very good, is authentic, is of high quality, why then do you fly your students outside your country to actually study? For instance, someone wants to do medicine in Ghana here.
Okay.
A student in Ghana wants to pursue medicine, but the person would leave all the schools here in Ghana, fly to, let me say, South Africa to do medicine. When courses in Ghana here would help you do the same medicine that you want to use. So right now, it looks as if those people in the country are not even believing in the certificates that they are getting from their own country. And it's very bad because, first of all, the government should not even, I don't think the government should even fund students who go out to learn same courses that can be done here.
Well, I think I beg to differ on Jemima's submission because, you know, we have grown in higher education in Africa and we have a term called internationalization. That has opened room for us to share curricula, exchange program, and also share an experience. If I'm a student, my motivation to be mobile academically is to build experience and explore more. Now, I've been in Africa for so many years and I really want to have a feel of how things are done in Europe, or things are done in some parts of Africa, not only in my country, Ghana, but I want to go somewhere like Nigeria, Egypt. I want to see how things are done and learn new things over there. So that might be my reason, my motivation to be mobile academically. And beyond that, with the issue about the perception of the certificate, well, I mean, these are things that we almost wallow in our own country, that your own university may not have what it takes to give you that kind of name or qualification, but travel out there and then get a degree and come back and then you'll be healed. So that may be a reason why students will want to be in tune to study abroad.
But even going for the certificate and coming back, you see, when you come back and you are even applying for a job, the person who did medicine in Ghana is given less opportunity. They rather look at the one who went out to do the medicine, they pick that person first. And if there are still space in the company or in the institution, they admit that person who did the same medicine in Ghana here. So right now, the person who went to do the medicine outside is given more opportunity to the employment than the person in Ghana.
You mentioned that some governments also create some scholarship schemes that are able to send students from their country to either in the country or overseas, all in the name of helping them to furthermore. Why do we do that? If we had the infrastructure, we had the systems in place that could help you build that knowledge, they don't need to fly you abroad. But because we don't have and we can't afford to have those systems, the best way is just take you there, explore, build that knowledge, and come back. And that's a better, affordable way for them to curb this issue. But beyond that, Lydia, let me also make this point clear that people who want to travel abroad, overseas, in the Europe or some part of Africa to go and study, not in their country, because of that urge to create networks. Believe me, you can be in Ghana, but someone can also be travel to, let's say, in the UK, go do a master's or PhD, and might have create some networks beyond his country, and at least that network can help you in many ways. So I would say that there are pros and cons, even though it wouldn't be as affordable as it is, because the average spending on education overseas is like $20,000. But beyond that, there are scholarships coming in. The Chinese government is bringing scholarships, and there's diversity nowadays. So I think it's better that we learn new things, we build new networks. So therefore, academic mobility is one nice thing I wouldn't want to trample upon.
I want to come in. You know, usually when African students are moving out to different institutions away from their countries, we tend to go outside Africa. We students do stay in the continent, but a lot of them move outside the continent. Do you think conflicts that exist in some African countries in some ways contributes to this students' decision to rather go outside our continent?
Let me admit here that there may be some conflicts, but these conflicts are not more of like war conflict. They can be institutional conflicts. Like, for example, you've been in a country, like in Nigeria recently, ASU, a teacher union over in Nigeria actually went on strike. And when higher education institution workers or teachers go on strike, that means the education for students is on a halt. So if parents who are well-to-do have the means and we don't want their children to be lurking around, what do? they'll say, go to Ghana, go to South Africa, go to Egypt, go to Zambia, now go to Kenya, and then further up. If things are not working over here, go and further up over there. So these are things, actions we do, we take, just to put you students in motion. And also, I think one issue will be at language.
Yeah.
Now, some countries appreciate how some countries in Africa speak English, the way they speak English.
Yeah.
So perhaps I will want to take my words to a country, a French-speaking country, just for French.
Yeah.
Or an English-speaking country, just for English, so they can better their English. So this may be the reasons why people may be motivated to keep their words in mobility academically, just for them to gain these competencies. So,
and I also think sometimes that the amount that people use in scholarships are very cheap. Let's say China, they offer very cheap and affordable scholarship opportunities. So I think that is another reason why people go for it, because it's very cheap and affordable.
And I must commend, in Africa, people say we don't find so many scholarship opportunities in Africa.
Yeah.
Even though we find so much scholarship opportunities coming from Europe and Asia with great stipends, attracting students to apply. There are also some specialized institutions in Africa who also have some unique scholarship opportunities, like Roof Forum. Roof Forum is an agricultural technology CSO organization that seeks to mobilize all agric students in Africa and run exchange programs for these students all around the continent, so they can study and leverage on their knowledge all around. So it is also a good way to also turn students around, and it's cheaper, because if we find, let's say, a member university for Roof Forum who has agronomy or agrotech as a program, then we'll say, okay, we'll bring students from Zimbabwe to come and study agronomy or agrotech in, let's say, Ghana, or let's say in Kenya. We are trying to make good use of ourselves in Africa, rather than travel all over to Europe or the States. So I think these are many ways we can engage in academic mobility, which also helps students' growth.
Okay, now still on higher education, radical affirmative action programs may be required to grow the share of female students enrolled in science, technology and innovation, and to increase the number of female lecturers and researchers who remain woefully underrepresented in these fields in African higher education institutions.
We are faced with a challenge that calls for a shift in our thinking so that humanity stops threatening its life support system.
She was a wonderful lady. Even I'm named after her. My mom, I'm called Wangari, and she's my role model.
Women don't want to pursue further because they haven't had a role model.
I'm going to create a scholarship for Europeans to come and study here, so that we have a paradigm shift.
Être né au Congo n'est pas un handicap. Pour moi, je considère que c'est une chance parce qu'il y a tellement à construire. On a encore la chance, voyez-vous, dans notre pays de pouvoir dire « je suis où je veux, je peux être la première ». Et ça, c'est fantastique.
It is very important to mention that there are women in STEM. They just happen to be less. They are not enough. Let me put it like that, because we can mention Airtel Delali Kofi, a Ghanaian IT professional and the founder of Women in Tech Africa. And surprisingly, or let me say amazingly, she was recently named one of the top women in IT in the world. So there are women who are doing well in STEM, but they are just not enough. So I just want to find out that how can we encourage women in STEM to increase?
You know, Lydia, this issue is a quite deep one with regards to building that interest for African women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, I want to take it deep down to the societal perception. You know, from society, we've actually relegated the efforts of women to bring out their power from within, that they can achieve anything they want to achieve. And if that premise is trampled upon, you really raise huge gates or huge barriers for women to pursue and grow in areas like STEM. Society has relegated women to roles like secretariatship, the reception, administration.
The easy roles.
The dormant roles.
Yeah.
These roles don't really change that much. They're the same the way it is. And when we begin to accept the fact that women are equal to these roles, then we are really doing great stereotype, because this is psychological. It affects the woman's ability that I have no need to pursue to do S&T or science or mathematics or engineering.
But who's to blame?
Well, society, you know, society has this way, and it's more of like an African society issue. But we need to break these barriers. And I'm glad you mentioned Ethel Kofi, who's really doing amazing.
Yeah.
And there are more. Dr. Ifa Kaufman, University of Ghana, who do amazing, many years in science and engineering.
Exactly.
Tells you that things are changing. But you know, the only way we can change this societal psychological barrier is to now build in more mentorship.
That's true.
For the young people who are rising up. I know we study biology, physics, and chemistry in the primary schools, and that is where we all build an interest for it. But at a point in time, interest is lost. It's because we do not have any role models or any figures to look up to and be like. We seem not to find anyone available who's doing well in STEM. But if these icons like Dr. Ifa Kaufman and then Ethel Kofi and the many others who are doing so well in Ghana or in Africa in terms of STEM can really step out there and then get these young ladies and let them know how they survive and how they can model themselves after these figures to become champions in STEM. I think the job is half done.
That's great.
One way or the other.
I think another way in helping women in STEM is for them to get role models. You know, as humans, let me see, we just don't live like that. By all means, we should have someone we look up to, someone, when a person steps, we step. Someone that when we look at that person, we know we can make it. Everyone, let me say, women should have role models for themselves. Look up to someone who is in science, let me put it that way, who inspires you. You think you can learn much from that person. And I think through that, women can be developed.
That's great.
In science. And another one is, there should be a special grading system for women. Okay, yes, grading system that will favor women into entering science, because sometimes when we say science and those things, women are like, science, I'm scared, like this, and it makes it very difficult to pursue that course. So if the grading system can favor women, and I think right now it's in action.
Yeah, a few universities
are doing it. So if it can come up really well, it will help develop women in science.
That's great. To add up to what you just said, I also think, or let me say, I believe that if a lot of scholarship opportunities are being given to women who want to enter into STEM, it would encourage these women to do it. Because believe you me, although a lot of women or some women may say science is too ambiguous, it isn't for women. There are some people who may have the interest, but because of funding, it hinders them from pursuing it. So if these students are given scholarship opportunities, they could equally pursue it. And I also do believe that motivation would go a long way to help these women. Like you said, they take role models. These role models can be a way of, these role models can motivate the ladies in a lot of ways. But another way to motivate them is through school teachers. School teachers can motivate these ladies that, hey, you can also go get it. What a man can do, a woman can do better. Exactly. So I think the motivation would also go a long way to help.
Yeah, society must also encourage women to also rise up and engage in STEM programs. Society must just debunk that thought that delineates them from rising through the STEM.
But Ajma, how do we get rid of the societal perception? This societal perception.
Well, it's all about education and also difference we make with the key champions of STEM who are women this day. They are the ones who need to make advocates that gone were the days where we thought women were supposed to be at some positions alone, they couldn't rise. But now they have been able to make it. And if that is so, then they now set the ground for young people who also want to be in STEM to have a safe and great path to follow. They need to champion the movement.
Yeah. So they need to champion the movement. Moving on to our health news. There isn't any proven correlation between coffee and height, but there are some health risks for excessive caffeine consumption in children.
I need the energy in the morning.
Riley O'Connor is like a lot of young teens.
I have a lot of friends who drink coffee.
Most days she grabs a cup before school.
While research shows coffee might reduce the risk of stroke and type 2 diabetes in adults, little research has been done on the impacts on children.
Caffeine is a drug.
A very safe drug by FDA standards. The stimulant impacts the nervous system. In fact, caffeine can last in the body for up to 8 hours. We talked to Dr. Pretty Mackins about the possible problems it can present for teens.
Caffeine can cause heart rate changes.
Coffee is also acidic. Translation, bad for your teeth. And
there is some evidence that caffeine can affect the development and foundation of bones.
But that's not the biggest problem.
Sleep and getting enough sleep with scheduling and homework and things like that are really, really major issues for children in the U.S. So adding a drug that potentially affects sleep is problematic and something that parents should consider.
School is just so much work, and you need to be focused when you're doing it.
Dr. Mackins says not so fast.
Usually you think of it as helping concentration, but in a child, and depending on how much they take, it can be negative for concentration.
Apparently it's bad for your growth and stuff.
Interesting news right there, but I would like to know, what are some of the effects of caffeine in both children and adults?
I would first of all say it gives you high blood pressure, based on research, of course, high blood pressure, and then we're also looking at abnormal heart rate. Because when you take in caffeine, a lot of it, I don't know for you, but I mean, a lot of people could share their experiences. When you take in a lot of caffeine, sometimes you realize that your heartbeat is not normal. It's either it beats too fast or too slow. You don't get the normal heartbeat. So caffeine sometimes gives you issues like that. And then most times it affects sleep patterns. I'm sure students would agree to this. Exactly. Yeah. I remember in school when I wanted to stay up long to learn for hours, I intentionally taken coffee just so I can stay woke, learn anyhow I want before I sleep. Yeah.
But I really want to take back to the story. That's cafe on young people and their growth. But cafe as a beverage has some components. And one very key component I want to put out here is caffeine and tannin. These two are known to be psychoactive elements over there, which really stimulate you to do things you don't want to do. Yeah. For example, that it can actually cut down sleep. Yeah. You can't sleep, which the body needs rest. Yeah. But coffee is the reason why you cannot sleep well. Exactly. What would be the long-term effects on your body if that happens? And even though it's been proved that it has no effect on young people, what will happen if young people take caffeine for a long time? So they can now be stimulated to do things that they cannot do naturally with their strength. What would be the end result of their body, how would their body shape up to be? Wouldn't it have an effect on them? Which obviously I think there will be an effect.
Exactly.
Most definitely, because you can do what you cannot do under normal circumstances. That means a time will come, your systems perhaps won't be able to respond the way they do because they are so used to a stimulant. And if the stimulant doesn't come that day, what happens to you? So we have to understand that the day you don't get that stimulant, how will your body react?
That's true.
So the day you don't get that stimulant, how will your body react? Don't go anywhere as we bring you science and technology news after this short pause.
Health and Safety Corner. Charging up goes a long way. Strengthen your immune system. Your immune system needs all the help it can get. Eat well, stay hydrated. Hands pick up a lot. Avoid touching your face. Your well-being is in your hands. Sanitize regularly. Stay safe. GTP, timeless.
Welcome back, and I bring you yet another wonderful scientific discovery. And this one is about self-erasing chips that could help stop counterfeit electronics or provide alerts if sensitive shipments are tampered with, according to Richardson's reports. And the chips rely on a new material and temporarily stores energy, changing the color of the light it emits. And it's self-erases in a matter of days, or users can erase it on demand with a flash of blue light.
University of Michigan researchers have developed a new material in order to create a temporary memory device that gets immediately erased when exposed to blue light. This technology could be used to create a security barcode that could be placed inside of sensitive shipments to alert recipients to any tampering.
The system actually will erase the information if it gets exposed to light or sudden change in heat. So now you know that, look, this thing was open. I don't know exactly which part was replaced, but at least I know this thing was open.
The material combines a semiconductor with a thin film of molecules that change shape in reaction to certain types of light. This allows the researchers to store information in the material temporarily. Currently, information can only be stored for about 7 days before it erases itself. But the team is working on ways to extend their longevity of the memory.
All right, welcome back. And you know, that's quite an outstanding discovery right there when it comes to this chips that are able to assess and scan. If somebody tampers with your stuff, it will show. But I want to find out what is the impact of this discovery on innovation in trade and commerce? How can we feel the impact of this in trade and commerce?
I would say it would help promote security, because let me use our online shops. For instance, when you order something and the chip is being attached to it and someone tampers with the product, you would actually know, because the product does not allow light, and if the light touches the chip, it will actually let you know that someone has already tampered with your product. So it will help in security. It will help promote security and also easy identification of your product when you order from these online shops and your things should come. It's because of the chip, you'll be able to identify your product, and I think it's good.
So, Lydia, what do you think with regards to trade and industry?
I do think that this would go a long way to help privacy, because, I mean, in this technological world, privacy is becoming something of the past. Someone could just sit somewhere and access your stuff just like that. So this, in a lot of ways, is going to bridge that gap, the privacy gap, because just imagine that you have, let me even move away from the trade and commerce. Let me just get to the tech aspect. So you have this really important information on your phone that you do not want anyone to get access to. But then some way, somehow, someone tries to get the phone, and the moment the person gets the chip out of the phone, and as long as it's exposed to light, the information erases. Yeah, that's amazing. It's so amazing, because people do use this means to hurt a lot of people. They intrude in a lot of people's privacy. So as long as these chips would erase every information, it says in days or sometimes instantly, right? I think it would go a long way to protect the privacy of people.
That's amazing.
And now, in wrapping up the news, let us take a quick recap of our headlines. Sub-Saharan Africa leads world on student mobility. And again, women in science will not increase without radical action.
And in our health news, scientists probe into the effects of coffee and growth in children.
In our science technology news, self-erasing chips could stop counterfeit electronics by researchers. Thank you very much for staying with us on the AAU TV newsroom, and we hope you stay with us next time for more news.